Mishnah 17, second parak, Mishnah 17. Rabbi Yossi says, Yehi mammon havercha chaviv alecha keshalach. Let the money of your friend be as precious to you as your own. And that doesn't mean that you should see his money as so precious that you want it for yourself, right? There are people who theoretically read this as saying, let his money be as precious to you as your own, and therefore do whatever you can to get it away from him and into your own pocket. Havi mammon havercha chaviv alech keshalach v'chas kein atzmacha lilmud Torah. And you should do tikkun, you should fix yourself, prepare yourself to learn Torah. She'ena Yerusha loch, because it is not a Yerusha for you. It is not an inheritance to you. V'kol maisecha yihi l'shem shemayim, and let all of your deeds be l'shem shemayim. So once again, this is a three-part Mishnah, which means one of them is going to speak on your relationship with God, one's going to speak on your relationship with yourself, and one is going to speak on your relationship with other people. So it's easy to line these up. Yehi mammon chaviv alecha keshalach. Let your friend's money, his property, his stuff, be as precious to you as your own. So in some ways, this is a more practical Mishnah than the preceding one. The preceding one said, let your friend's honor, right, his self-esteem be as important to you as your own. Right? We discussed the idea that people have a tendency, what really matters to people is their self-respect. Right? Is that they want to be meaningful people. And if you disgrace them or humiliate them, you destroy them. And therefore, you should, in your interactions with people, always ask yourself, is this action humiliating to them or is it uplifting to them? I want their, emotional well-being as important to me as my own. So he takes it a little bit more practical. He says there's lots of people who will at least pretend they're doing that. But money, business is business. Right? Business is business. If you say business is business, you haven't read this Mishnah. The whole concept of Musar is best summed up, in the introduction to Mesilas Yesharim, where he basically says, if you think I'm going to teach you anything you don't already know, you're wrong. If you think I'm going to teach you anything that you can learn and be done with, you're wrong. This is important stuff. I'm going to teach you stuff you already know that you have to go over and over and over. Because again, what are we looking for? We're looking for Rav Yeshua, Asher Yodato. We're looking to become the kind of people who learn and learn and learn and learn and learn Torah until you're the kind of person that someone says your mom must just love you. Right? That's what we're looking for. Ultimately, why are we doing all of this? It's all about integration. It's all about becoming the kind of person that your mom says, he's such a nice boy. Okay? In a Torah way, we've already gone through that. You can't say business is business. You have to say, your money, that if I have an opportunity to protect your property, it has to be just as precious to me to protect your property as my own. Right? What's interesting is I've actually cited this line many times in doing deals. That I'm working through a contract with someone, or putting together a licensing deal, and I'll explain to them. I said, you have to understand my basic philosophy in this. My basic philosophy is I'm trying to make sure that this deal is good for you. I'm going to make sure it's good for me too, but I'm looking after your interest in this deal, and I'll tell you why. Because if the deal is bad for you, and I learned this the hard way. We built a deal once that was tremendously lucrative for us. The guys doing a deal with the guys who basically don't understand how to do basic math and couldn't extrapolate and didn't realize at a certain point the deal was going to go upside down and unless they performed perfectly, the deal became very destructive for them. So you know what? They had no choice. They had to default, or lie, or cheat, or break the deal, or come and shoot us. I mean, you have to do something because you can't. You're right. If I put together a deal that you're destroyed in, then how is it supposed to go forward, right? It's not our approach. If you're doing a long-term deal, you want to get rich, right? Again, I don't have to give you extra. I have to figure out how it's good for me. But I have to figure out a way, why are you doing it? When you hire a guy, this isn't slavery. The difference between a job and slavery, right? When you go and interview for a job, how do they convince you to come work for them? They convince you that that deal is good for you, right? Either that you're going to make enough money, or you're going to have proper health insurance, or you're going to like having lunch there all the time, or whatever it is. But they've got to put something into the deal so you look at it and say, I'd like to be here. Right? Practically, they have to put your money, they have to make your mama and your physicality, your money, your stuff, right? They got to look after it. Because if it's all about tormenting you, then the only way that works is when they have these, factory towns and you're basically a slave. Right? But otherwise, it's not going to work. But he says, as a general picture, taking it away from the practical, if I want to have a relationship with you, you and I are friends. We're friends for lots of years. You know that whatever our interactions are going to be, that I'm looking after your interests too. And I know that you're looking after mine. That I don't have to worry that in every little thing you're trying to figure out how do you squeeze that extra little nickel out of me. And it's always going in your... How do I have a relationship with you if everything has got to be your way? Right? Every time we go to lunch, I got to pay. What is that? Every time we do work with each other, you have to move the bill in your favor. It's like... Right? You can't have a friend. You can't have a relationship. It says you want to have a relationship with a person, a business relationship, a friendly relationship. That person needs to know that however it's going to be, your stuff is safe with me. Right? Your financial well-being and material well-being, I am not looking to hurt you. It's just as important to me that you have, a good job. Right? Just found out one of our friends just got himself a really nice gig. It makes you feel really good. I'm as happy, right? Thank God, because I want him to have money for food, and I want his kids to have what he needs, right? You take real pleasure. I take real pleasure in knowing that he's going to be safe, because he's my friend, right? You want that for them.
I start calling people, guess what?
It's good, because, guys, we're friends. That's how you connect it. You want to have a community? You need to know that other people are looking after you. They're not going to let you starve to death. And you're working just as hard to make that sale as any other sale. And there's nothing in it for you. But who cares? His life is important to you. He's your friend. Right? You're my friend. Your life is important to me. It's the exact opposite, right? So you see these pieces fit together. One guy says, how do you destroy it? You destroy your life with hating people, not taking pleasure in them. How do you build a life as a community? If everybody in the community took seriously the idea that I want to make sure you're okay too, what a different world. Right? What a different world.
It's an argument against progressive income tax for the purpose of redistribution, because you should also care even about the well-to-do. Their money is...
It's all true. It's all true. But see, our model is not an institutional... The outside world thinks that the poor should be taken care of the same way the trash is. That the government should scoop them up and drop them off downtown and take care of them. Get them out of sight and out of mind and take you right. That's not our model. Our model is the poor is taken care of the same way I am. I have a farm. I leave the corners. I leave the dropped sheaves. I leave the extra stuff. So that how do I get my food? I glean it in the field. How do you get your food? You glean it in the field. Every time I earn $1, 90 cents of it's mine, and the other 10 cents is to make sure that my friends are okay. Right? As long as no more than 1/10 of the population is struggling at a time, we're in pretty good shape. Right? And if there is, then everybody works that. But it's not an institutional, right? Now, no individual person, no poor person can come and confiscate from me. They can't come to me and say, give me your money. I choose how I distribute it. But it's a chiyuv, it's an obligation on me to make sure that their needs are met, right? It's a very different world. It's a very different world. But that's it. The key, he says, each one of these guys has a different, slightly different approach. But he says, right, the first guy says, how do you make sure that interpersonal relationships in society survives? Make sure you treat everyone with respect. This guy says, you know what? Push comes to shove, they need to have money for food. You make sure that you're protecting the economic well-being of your friends. That their economic success should be just as important to you as your own. Then you just can't take their stuff. Then he says, "V'chaskein atzmecha lilmud Torah she'en Yerusha loch." 3 relationships in life: relationship with yourself, relationship with people, relationship with God. Which one is this? This is Torah. It's your relationship with yourself. So how do you learn Torah? What's the most important thing in learning Torah? He says, "Chaskein." Fix yourself up. Prepare yourself. It's not a Yerusha. that people think that as long as I wake up every morning and manage to keep my eyes open until sometime around 11:30, 12, 1, 1:30, whatever, and then close them and lie down, I've got a Torah life. I didn't kill anybody, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't come to you, right? It's one of my great disgraces is, after 28 years of doing this, I don't think I've got, on Avos I have a little bit. But on the rest of it, I don't know that I got 28 years of Torah of, because there have been plenty of weeks and months over the course of time where I just assumed that, listen, I inherited Torah. God gave me Torah, so I'm in good shape, right? I've got it on my bookshelf. I got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Torah books in different colors and different shapes and different languages and different sizes. I've inherited plenty of Torah. I don't have to work on it. All right? My kids will work on it. I'm paying plenty of big bucks for them to work on it. I don't have time to work on it. He said, that can't be your approach. It's very painful for those of us who are middle-aged dads and are very, very busy. And we say, you know what? I will absorb the Torah through my pores. No. You gotta work. You gotta, sand yourself down and work out the rough edges and make the time, right? You gotta prepare yourself because it's not going to come to you just because you inherited it. You have to work at it. And the last one is Kol Ma'asecha Yehi L'Shem Shamayim. Let all of your deeds be L'Shem Shamayim. So again, it's interesting. He doesn't say, so this is how do you build a relationship with God. So he doesn't say, daven. Doesn't mean you shouldn't. He doesn't say korbanos. He doesn't even say, do the most mitzvahs with the most chumras you can figure out how to do. You want to be a holy person and connect to God? He says, let all of your deeds be l'shem shamayim. When you go to the market to buy food, that should be l'shem shamayim. Right? When your wife buys food, she should think in terms of, I am doing a chesed for my husband. She should think in terms of, I am making food to literally create my children. Right? I'm going to turn them from little kids to big kids with this food. Right? You're driving your car. Right? What are you doing this in avodas Hashem? Everything you do should be l'shem shamayim. Not right. If you can figure out how to do your normal life and find a way to impose holiness into your normal life, to recognize that what you're doing is you're a Torah guy, and the things that you're doing are Torah things that are moving you along that progression. And he says that's what God wants from you. He says God doesn't say be the most machmir guy you've ever seen. He doesn't say be the king of chumras. Right? He says do your life l'shem shamayim. Everything. All of your actions. Shop l'shem shamayim. Brush your teeth l'shem shamayim. Get dressed l'shem shamayim. Everything you do, whatever you're doing, right? You're managing a server bank. You have to think in how is it possible that well, maybe not. But there's a place, right? An aspect. I'm doing this because this is what they're going to use to send me money so I can pay my kid to live in Kollel. But I'm doing this for the right reason. That's our mission.